Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Rams Brothers, the pod. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the other host of this show, Nick. And Nick, we won. We're back. It feels good to be back. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Hopped on a live podcast with Brian last night after the Rams win. Got to, showcase my raw emotion, for better or for worse. I feel great. This team, they look really good. Should be a lot to be proud of right now. And can you tell I'm extremely tired?
I'm gonna see some fight out of you. I feel like I've been waiting for this episode for you to be extremely excited about this team. And it's late at night, of course, but we need you to bring the energy. This is where we want to see the other side of you, if possible. So,
yeah, I know. I just love waking up to just like essentially like death threat tweets. It's amazing. It really makes me feel part of the family.
Yeah, it's there's something about criticizing something that's so personal, near and dear to everybody's heart. It's the team that everybody loves, and when you criticize the star player, the quarterback, you're gonna rub some people the wrong way. It's the nature of the business, and you're doing your thing, and that's how it's going to be. So, I mean, if you're not going to change, then that's not going to change either. So,
yeah, no, I mean, you just love what you saw last night, right? Matthew Stafford looked like the reason that they traded for him last night. Amazing display. It was just, dinging players right between the numbers, no turnovers, perfect game. It seemed like it just really goes to show what a capable running back can do to Sean McVay's offense.
Yeah, we're going to dig into all that too. I was sitting back with my Golden Road brew, my Rams House Blonde Ale last night, enjoying the game. Make sure you get to Golden Road Brewery. Try to snag some Golden Road brew, some Blonde Ale. They got a ton of other brews over there, a ton of other
that
beer.
Christmas cart before it's all gone for the holiday season.
Indeed, yeah, they have some good stuff. And then TickPick also is our newest sponsor. Friends and family who are buying Rams or Chargers tickets or even concert tickets in the upcoming future, use TickPick. You get your tickets fast and secure. You don't have to worry about your tickets not showing up on game day, which happens with all the big-time players out there. Here's your link. I'm going to put it up on the screen. TickPick.com/RamsBros. You'll thank us later when you're not dealing with any of the fees or the issues that you deal with from buying with the big guys. TickPick.com/RamsBros. That's where you will get your tickets. Thank us later. But Nick, the Rams 9-4 after three weeks and a bye of pain. They're now 9-4 after a big primetime victory over the number one seed in the NFC, the Arizona Cardinals, who've now fallen to 10-3. And it wasn't just a regular old win for the 2021 Rams. And I think that's why we're going to get some energy in this episode. They've now strung together back-to-back wins and have created a brand new balanced identity offensively, combined with a dynamic pass rush and a young linebacker in the middle in Ernest Jones, who the whole roster seems to kind of rally behind. And last night, I felt overwhelmingly encouraged. I texted you guys the most satisfied that I've been about a Rams win since they've won the NFC Championship in 2018. Maybe that's overly aggressive, but a lot of this episode is kind of geared around why we should be so excited about this team moving forward. You on board with that?
Yeah, no, I am. I think they played exceptionally well. I would give them like an A+. Everything but punting was really top tier. Matt Gay turned into Mr. Automatic. When you're playing another kicker that can just drill 50, like deep 55, 53s, your guy's got to come up, and he really did a great job. I mean, that's just a small detail on a bunch of the people that just stepped up and presented with this opportunity because we lost so many people randomly to COVID.
Yep.
A lot of people just were like, hey, let's step up. Let's win this game. We know that we're better than this team, and kind of feels like they are right now. I mean, you have a 2-game sample size, and this one was certainly more of a fight than the last one. And for the Rams to come out on top of a really tough-fought game in Arizona, it makes you feel great. Did you see the stat, though, where it was like Arizona at home?
Yeah, 0-3.
Versus on the road?
Yep.
It's just like Kyler Murray has like 3 turnovers on the year, but like when playing away, but like 11 at home. So I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, it's strange. No, it's a really good point. I mean, we're going to talk about what the deal is with the Arizona Cardinals, because as much of a great game as the Rams were able to put together, the Cardinals had some inefficiencies that played in the Rams' favor.
And some efficiencies.
Inefficiencies.
No, I know, but it's not like they played a bad game. I've never seen a quarterback with pristine time management skills like Kyler Murray. That little run, like at the end of the first half, where there's like they have like a 9-second play, and he does a full run around and gets right out of bounds with 1 second left. I was like, that's like a master class.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that you've seen the same thing with Russell Wilson, but Kyler Murray's quicker to get out of the pocket. I mean, Russell Wilson is as effective when he's scrambling in the pocket to keep plays alive, but Kyler Murray to escape out of the pocket is about as quick as anybody else. But I mean, can you even talk about this episode or even do this episode without talking about COVID right now? I mean, as unfortunate as it may seem, we'll talk about it for a little bit in the beginning here. I mean, they're already without Brian Allen and Terrell Lewis in this game, but then you get the news 4 hours prior to the game that they're going to be without Jalen Ramsey, Tyler Higbee, Rob Havenstein. I mean, that's absolutely gut-wrenching. It's like the only person that didn't seem like they were concerned at that point was Vegas, as the line only moved to half point. But prior to the game, the Rams activated from the practice squad defensive back Grant Haley, running back Javion Hawkins, defensive back Kareem Orr, tight end Jared Pinkney, wide receiver Brandon Powell, and Jeremiah Cologne. So we're scraping really kind of at the bottom of the barrel here just to fill the active man roster. And then today you see Odell Beckham Jr., Terrell Burgess, Hopkins, Hughes, Alaric Jackson, SJD, Jonah Williams, Jordan Fuller, Tyler Hall have all been placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. And meanwhile, Tyler Higbee has been activated due to the false positive. So it's crazy. But I don't think there should be any controversy right now, right? With players being tested normally on Mondays, which is kind of like the standard protocol. But it makes sense that all Rams players were tested again today, as it seemed kind of obvious that there was some sort of breakout amongst the group after last night. And then everything moving forward over the next couple of days is going to be virtual. And then they'll reevaluate all this stuff later in the week. And we'll do the same as we look to preview Seattle. But I mean, to overcome, to start it off, the very first thing. I mean, 4 hours prior to the game, you're all concerned about COVID news. We all are. And they're able to overcome it. And I think it's a tribute to good head coaching, amongst a lot of other things.
Yeah, I felt like this was a real locker room game. It's like we have everything that we need in this team, regardless of who's here and who's not. I mean, you got people starting for the first time ever against the top team and maybe the entire league. And just for these guys to rally and, play really good. Felt like early on in this game, we were going down that hole of, oh God, offense on the scripted drive sucks. Defense can't get off the field.
Yep.
Drill a 55-yarder. Oh boy. It's same old Rams. Like I was exactly right. And then the defense just absolutely forcing a turnover in the red zone was just the little spark that they needed. So, I mean, and then from there on, they just looked great.
Let's talk about the Cardinals. I want to figure out what it was about the Cardinals, what their deal was last night, right? You talked about them being 0-3 at home, but I think they were in a tougher situation. You can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff. Keep me honest, please.
Well, they don't have just 3 games at home.
Right. Of course.
They haven't played only 3 games. They're not 0-3. They're like what?
0-3 in their last 3 at home or whatever the stat is.
Yeah.
But I just think they were in a tougher situation than a lot of people think. I think they're a really good football team. Don't get me wrong. But I think there are a couple things I noticed in that game last night as the game unfolded that could be an indication that they may be an early out in the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see. But I think the most obvious call out, they're inexperienced, right, from their head coach to their quarterback. They're not used to playing in a primetime game against a division rival with the number 1 seed on the line, right? That's not the norm of the Arizona Cardinals right now with this identity. They're not used to deciding to take a field goal. This is a controversial call. Take the field goal or to go for it when they're down 10 points in the fourth quarter in enemy territory, right? That's new territory for them, for the coach. So they had
Yeah,
to make
no, I'm shocked they didn't go for it. Like, go for the touchdown, right? But then
they had an opportunity to take 3, and they went for it on 4th down and weren't able.
Oh no! Oh, sorry. I was talking about the very end of the game.
Yep, the drive after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, do you chalk that up to the head coach? Do you chalk it up to the quarterback wanting to take a risk? Maybe there was some indecision there, maybe some back and forth. I'm sure they talked about it in the post-game press conference. So there's that. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins also haven't played together a ton on a big stage in the last month and a half. I mean, you could tell he had 1 reception in the first quarter, but you could tell they weren't quite on the same page early on. And their only real action in the last 5 or 6 weeks was that game against Chicago in the slop. I mean, that game was a slip and slide the whole time. You could tell Kyler Murray's timing was off early on when he missed A.J. Green in that first possession on 3rd and 10. And then, that would have gone for an easy touchdown because Kareem Moore just tripped over his own feet. And he also turned the ball over in inopportune times in this game, despite making a ton of plays with his feet, right? They made those big mistakes, which you just can't make. You could very easily have had the Rams in a position early on in this game. Nick, this will play into your favor in your conversation, where they could have had the Rams up. They could have been up 10-0, right? Right after James Conner's miraculous one-handed catch, they get overconfident on a 2nd and goal on the 4-yard line. Donald tips a pass, and Ernest Jones is able to haul in his 2nd interception of the season. I mean, that's a chance to go up 10-0 with 4 minutes left in the first quarter. So you have the Rams exactly where you want them. And then the 2nd interception to Leonard Floyd was even worse. And that happened immediately after the long Van Jefferson touchdown. So your thoughts?
Just based on what? Just Kyler or the defense?
Well, I mean, all of it. I mean, Kyler, for one, I mean, you got
this is
your quarterback makes that turnover, right? Matthew Stafford makes those 2 turnovers, and he's on the hot seat all of a sudden. Kyler's an MVP conversation. Like, what's your take there?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's fair to call him an MVP just because he missed a bunch of games, and the most valuable player should be there on every single. Like regardless of, but that's a whole different conversation. This is like for the first time this year, it felt like this is the Kyler Murray that we were kind of we have known over the last couple of years, where it's like, oh, Aaron Donald is just this guy's dad and like can and will and is the force that can make him look like it's his kryptonite. He doesn't look as amazing against the Rams. I mean, obviously in Chicago when they have like one of the worst teams, that game was an indication that I thought the Cardinals were going to just be who everybody thought they were, but just Aaron Donald just being able to just have a piece of pretty much every turnover in this game and like having the final say. It was almost a little bit of a nicety that they got that onside kick.
Yeah.
Because then we got to end the game with Donald just, bye.
Yeah. It started the same way it ended.
Yeah, I said that on the live episode last night, but that's going to be etched in Rams fans' memories for a really long time. And you know what? Like maybe this season doesn't result in like postseason glory, but that's right now that is the shot of the season, and they know it. Like it's everywhere. It was everywhere today. It was all over social media. God, and I love those bone jerseys on TV. They just look so good.
Yeah, we needed a GIF. We needed a meme, something good to come out of this game. I think we were due for that.
And I also said this last night, and I'm sure we'll talk about the offense, but OBJ first touchdown score right here was a bad placed.
Yeah,
just to see him just in his glory, like actually not being like horrible, like and being on like a really good team with a quarterback that's capable of making like big time throws. It's just as a fan of the sport, I've loved OBJ since he's entered the league, and it's just great to see him happy on like a team right now. It's
the best.
It's awesome. Yeah,
it's the best. Yeah, we'll talk more about OBJ, and I will transform myself into an 11-year-old, and we'll get all giddy and won't be able to stop smiling. But real quick with the Cardinals, when we'll talk about the Rams offense, and we'll pivot over the Rams. 2 other things that I thought the Cardinals had issues with that I thought the Rams did a really good job of. The Cardinals and James Conner. Connor wasn't able to run the ball as effectively as he would have liked to, or as well as they did in October, right? They ran for over 200 yards in October. Chase Edmonds, right, wasn't hurt back then. Then you added the pressure to Kyler Murray to keep the game together. I just I had hoped, I think they hoped that they were going to get Chase Edmonds back. And I was hoping that the game plan was just to be able to prevent the run and make Kyler Murray try to beat you, right? So Chase Edmonds, they hoped they had him come back prior to this game. They didn't. The Rams were physical. They played gap and a half. They clogged the interior running lanes for James Conner, made it tough for him to establish anything. So I was happy with the game plan defensively with what they were able to put together. I think Arizona's issue was that the Rams kind of flipped the script on them, right? They kind of turned them into the old version of the Rams, of themselves, right? Arizona, they were best in the league in terms of the screen game, right? Murray's escapability is second to none. But it wasn't enough to be able to counter the Rams' pass rush. It was absolutely dominant at the line of scrimmage, which was a game that I was just hoping to see throughout the entire season. The Rams had issues dealing with interior pressure during that 3-game losing skid to Tennessee, to San Francisco. Well, now they're the ones that are applying the pressure. All the interior pressures coming from Aaron Donald, Greg Gaines, A'Shaun Robinson.
Greg Gaines.
How good was Greg Gaines? I mean, as talented as the Cardinals roster is right now, that was a good example of a game where you had a coach that's more experienced. McVay simply outcoached Cliff Kingsbury. The game plan was better at the line of scrimmage. They were more physical. They used their personnel to their advantage. So just in terms of things that Arizona didn't do well, maybe they didn't do them perfectly, but the Rams were able to capitalize on everything they didn't do as well as they normally do. So transitioning to Sean McVay. Think it's time to give him credit?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sure. When his offense is cooking, I mean, can't tell me it's not one of the most fun to watch in the entire league.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time since 2019 where it really felt like he had all the tools in the toy box that he wants to use, and he was able to use every single one exactly how he wanted to. And it was just an immaculate display of tricks and trade, and that one little run out and just freaking boom, Jefferson dart. I was up. I didn't sit back down after that for the entirety of the night.
No, there was no reason to. When his offense is right, you said it right. I mean, when they dial up plays correctly, when they utilize their personnel, when they're able to get mismatches, they're a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to give you a reason why Sean McVay deserves to be praised. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons. I mean, the losing skid, right? I think there was a frequency of excuses, not being able to have the personnel, not being able to run the ball effectively when the entire offseason was spent. We talked about this, investing in explosive players, right? That's when you get frustrated when you talk about not being able to have the personnel to run the ball. So you make adjustments, you use what you have. And at the same time, he was kind of constantly blaming himself for not having a better grip on the 48-man active roster come game day. But what I saw last night was the very best utilization of a 48-man active roster during COVID, the best possible display that you could show. Partially because players like Kendall Blanton, Bryson Hopkins, Coleman Shelton, Joe Noteboom, Ben Skoranek, they all stepped up in a huge way. And it's partially because Sean McVay put them in a position to be extremely successful last night. I mean, you don't need any of these guys to be game changers in any form. You just need them to go out there, make plays, execute the game plan, and be an aggressive football player. Like, you have to know what your role is to the extent where you don't get penalized. You could execute a block and you could bring somebody free. You let Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. make plays. And there was no excuse last night for not having the perfect personnel package. Even when being down a starting right tackle in Rob Havenstein and only having, not even having a tight end that he trusts. Tyler Higbee's the only tight end that he likes and trusts. So being able to have Kendall Blanton come out, Bryson Hopkins, being able to call plays that involve the trust and execution of Joe Noteboom and Kendall Blanton and Ben Skoranek, right? Among all these players, right? There's only one penalty amongst all these guys, and it was in Ben Skoranek, right? That's good coaching. I mean, he's able to get guys, and you talked about this earlier, guys that have hardly seen the field, guys that have hardly played NFL snaps. You get them ready to go within 4 hours. Good coaching.
Good coaching. For sure. I just think overall, this offense was just booming, and it starts and stops, I think, with Sonny Michel.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. The adjustment is starting to kind of carry over.
And then, like,
what we hoped for.
I call me like old fashioned, or just call me a 2018 Rams diehard. But I just liked seeing just one running back there. Yeah. Like Sonny Michel is clearly capable of being that guy. I mean, last week I was like, I don't know, it's Jacksonville. Like, can we really like allow him to take all these carries? Like, I don't know if that's really even like if we could want to throw that game out or not. But this is not a game you throw out. This is a game where everybody's going to be like, look, this is the Rams team. Like, this is the film that we got to watch on them, because if they have everybody that they want, they're going to be really good on, with establishing that Sonny Michel run game. And, just in the passing game alone, he's just incorporated a ton more motion in the line of scrimmage. And then, like one of my favorite things, mixed in a little old-fashioned jet sweep with Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
I mean, how often we haven't really seen that in like forever. That I just absolutely love. That's a little like creativity, and that's just enough to really change up the entire like what the defense is expecting of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of going back to his foundations. I think the adjustments are kind of carrying over, and you were afraid that we all were afraid. Not saying you, all of us, all Rams fans, all afraid of the fact that the adjustments wouldn't carry over into December. And now they're seeing not only a ton of success in the switch over from Henderson to Michel, but also in the passing game alone, which was a concern, right? If we were all about explosives, it wasn't going to work out in our favor. But again, you saw more motion, more jet sweeps. You saw play action at the perfect times, right? Matthew Stafford completed 7 of 8 play action passes for 129 yards and a touchdown. As of today, Matthew Stafford leads the NFL in pass EPA on play action dropbacks this season. So despite using play action only at the 25th highest rate among qualifying quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford is still number 1 in that category. So What that tells you is that the offense is now kind of starting to form around Matthew Stafford, opposed to him kind of being the guy that has to bail you out on everything. So it's working out in our favor. It's working out in Rams fans' favor. This Cooper Kupp reception by alignment stat, though, by Next Gen Stats, is going to absolutely blow your mind. It's for whatever reason, this tweet only got 40 likes. This should be 10,000, 50,000, as many likes as the Cooper Kupp tweet got, where he broke down the play. This tweet should have gotten.
Where he's like, oh yeah, it was Bubblegum, Firebird, Breakdown. Yeah,
Fire Zone. Yep. Yeah. And Bubblegum, maybe even. Who knows?
No, I don't know. I was just saying words that sounded right.
But this stat is absolutely going to blow your mind. From the left wideout position, he was aligned for a reception twice. The left slot 4 times. Left tight end once. Backfield once. Right tight end once. Right slot 3 times. Right wide once. Cooper Kupp became the first player in the Next Gen Stats era to have a reception from all 7 pre-snap alignments in a game. So when Deebo Samuel was all over the field against the Rams and destroyed them a few weeks ago, I sat here between the two of us into the camera, stared into the camera, and begged for this type of creativity that Kyle Shanahan and Deebo Samuel have been able to bottle up. And now you're getting it with Cooper Kupp and Sean McVay. I mean, Cooper Kupp's versatility, you're not only seeing the evolution of Cooper Kupp as a player, as an athlete, as a person, you're also seeing his versatility being displayed in the best possible fashion. I mean, you're seeing Sean McVay use one of his best players, if not his best player, in a way that continues to keep the defense guessing.
I think it's
a mismatch nightmare. It's perfect.
Out of McVay's weapons on offense, I think Cooper Kupp absolutely has to be the best player. I think he's kind of like a dark horse to win MVP. I mean, I don't think he'll get it because wide receivers just traditionally don't win that. But I mean, he is playing like out of his mind this year, and he's all over the field. He's everywhere.
You could shake that award up, right? Like, I think you could start giving it to a running back, or Peterson got it, I think 7 years ago, but to a receiver, to a defensive player, you could start shaking it up. But no, you're right. He's everywhere. There was one place broke a run for like 25 yards. Cooper Kupp's on the edge blocking.
I'm just shocked that teams aren't just like, let's just, especially when you have Skronik or that, like, like you have Cooper Kupp on the field, just like figure out where he is and just double down. Like if we were playing the Patriots, Cooper Kupp, I feel like would be a lot harder to find just because that would be their, Belichick's all about taking out your best weapon. And it was like, oh, just take out Kupp. I'm just shocked more people don't try to do that because the amount of receptions he gets is just crazy. Because
the best part,
you get the ball in his hands and it's like at least like 7 more yards after he catches it.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're trying to. And it's the same thing we try to do with Deebo Samuel, with Jalen Ramsey. When you move him around in all these different alignments, you're a mismatch nightmare. You can't double him. When he's in the backfield, you can't double him. When he's in the slot lineup as a tight end, you can't double him. I mean, I'm telling you, it is a master plan, what they just did. And it's exactly what I wanted to see and way more from them last night.
It feels a little Mega Man-ish. Like after every loss this season, McVay is like adding something from the opponent's arsenal into his new regimen. Because, I mean, you're exactly right. It's I remember you sitting here and just being like, what is going, like, why do we have none of that in our offense right now? That San Francisco game was just such abysmal. Yeah, scored like 7 points all game and just watched San Francisco drive up and down the field. It was horrible.
I will take.
And it was just like, what are we doing? It's like, why are we so slow? Why are we panicking? Why are we not establishing any run? Why do we keep trying to go deep? I think a real lesson has been learned in patience. Like you need to, like, in order for Matthew Stafford to have that highlight to Van Jefferson, you have to set that up over and over, like the run game up, and you have to find time, like the right time to hit him. And they earned it last night. It wasn't just like start off the game, let's go deep, like that's not going to work every time, especially when it seems like that's the only thing you're cooking up in these scripted drives. The scripted drives need to be better. The first couple drives, they have not once started out hot. I don't remember the last time they were able to score a touchdown on the opening drive, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your critique, I'll live with that.
Yeah,
but I do feel like
it's hard to critique anything else on this team, and everybody and at least after this game, and. I'll sit here and I'll critique all day long. Unlike people may think it's for clicks. I'm just, calling it like I see it. Regardless of what I say here, I think some people need to hear this. Regardless of what I say here, the outcome of the game is going to be exactly the same. I'm not going to say anything that's going to change any kind of, points, spreads, or anything like that. I'm just a guy giving my opinion. So people need to shut the hell up, essentially, and stop taking everything so serious because it's just ridiculous the amount of stuff that
come on, I got to
send my way. I mean, look, I invite it. Like, I'm here for it. I think it's great and I love it. But I'm not just gonna just take it and not say anything because it's just pathetic. Like, imagine being a grown man and finding time to tweet about somebody else just because you don't like their takes. It's like, I grow up.
The cool thing about being brothers was that I was going to play devil's advocate, but you actually subconsciously played it on your own and you played it out for everybody here. So that was pretty cool.
I mean, look, don't be a bitch, right?
Right. To the message to yourself, to me.
Well, to everybody, grow up. Yeah.
Well, I think winning kind of cures all, right? I mean, no matter how much stupid shit you say, team wins, and we all get to enjoy the game.
Well, yeah, it was great to be proven wrong yesterday. I thought for sure Matthew Stafford was going to throw a pick. I didn't think the Rams were going to win that game. I couldn't be more wrong, and I'm stoked about it because.
Meanwhile, I thought he wasn't going to throw any interceptions, and I thought they were going to win the game. But I've felt that way in games this year. Tennessee, San Francisco, they got in their ass kicked. So what the hell?
You want to know something funny?
Yeah. Please.
So yesterday, I mean, what's it called? I placed that bet that Odell was going to score a first touchdown. He did. So I kind of had my feet up the whole day. After that, I was like, oh, well, I won money. I don't think they're going to win this game. But either way, I came out on top. I had bet on the Cardinals because I thought for sure they were going to cover that -3. I mean, obviously it was like, I didn't want to see it happen, but I feel like I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. And then after the game, our dad calls us both. Your phone was dead, to take like a victory shot. And he looks at me. He's like, I actually bet on the Cardinals.
Oh, what the hell's Matt?
And I was like, oh, me too.
I'm gonna be honest. That pisses me off.
Why?
Well, because
I texted you earlier in the week and I was like, yo, do you want to bet on the Rams? And you were like, no, I can't.
Yeah, because I don't want to bet on the game. I want to watch the game and root for the team without any money interests.
Well, I only placed the bet after the Ramsey news came out.
And then to go as dramatic and throw money on the other team to hit submit. I mean, you are just, I don't know. I disagree to my core. I think that is a wrong move, and I think it makes you a bad fan.
Hey, money talks.
Money talks. I understand chasing the money.
I also had bet on the Packers the week prior and San Francisco. So
I'm not trying to just stir up controversy, but I think that's one thing amongst all the other things on social media that would qualify you as a bad fan.
Bad fan. I'm not going to sit here and just say the Rams are amazing and they're perfect and they're going to go to the Super Bowl, because that's just not a take that I could have foreseen. I'm not going to just sit here and lie to all of our fans and the people that listen to this and be like, because that's what I hate when I'm listening to one of these shows and it's just blind optimism and it's just, the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. Every year in and year out, I had to listen to that on talk radio. And I just couldn't stand it because I knew they weren't going to do it. Like everybody knew. But it's just like, I don't see, where is the artistry? Where is the critiques? Like where is the like actual takes and like, thoughts and facts behind that? There is none. You're just a fan. And some of these people don't want to see, like, oh, I don't think they're going to do well. That's fine. You don't need to follow me. I certainly not going to follow you. But like, don't throw a hissy fit because you're reading something against your team. It's just pathetic.
Well, that's one thing too. I mean, if it is a fact, and it's something you can't really argue against, I mean, what's the point of even arguing against it, right? It's the whole thing. I mean, if you're a fan of the team, you root for the team, enjoy it. That's one thing. I think the social media thing is just, I mean, you're putting yourself in the position to take the heat. So,
and I'll take all the heat. I love it. It's fun. Skip Bayless is a goofy guy. He's fun to, I'll be a villain. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean,
like
I said,
it's this like blind optimism is just like, how is that entertaining?
I get it. I get it.
I don't understand. Like, I don't think I didn't come from that world, Like, if I'm putting something out there, I'm not going to put out like the easiest thing possible.
And I'm not trying to give anybody blind optimism, right? I'm trying to give a silver lining because I think when I evaluate the entire league, I think this team racks up within the top 3, top 5. For a reason.
After a statement win like this, yes. Before this, they were like,
I thought that right after they beat Jacksonville, I thought that they were going to be able to.
You were on the money there. That's true.
I thought they were going to be able to turn that into something special. I thought they were going to be able to go on a run, and it starts with Arizona. I remember texting you guys. They go 3-0 over this stretch, and then Super Bowl aspirations are right back, and then you just need one more game to do it against Seattle, and all of a sudden everybody's right back on the bandwagon. Yeah. So. I don't know. I wasn't trying to give anybody ever blind optimism. I try to see what's going on within the game. If there are suggestions that we could potentially make, ways to evolve the offense, suggestions to Raheem Morris, instead of just tweeting blindly, fire.
That's another horrible take.
Rabbit season, fire. No, just relax. Let the game kind of come to you. Observe what's going on and give a rational opinion. I'm all about logical, rational opinions, and when it comes out of word vomit on Twitter, that's a whole nother story. So I try to stay away from that. Matthew, talk about Matthew Stafford for a second. We have to.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
flash,
his best game as a Ram.
Since you've been going off a little bit, I'm going to flash this question on the screen just to see what kind of reaction we get here. I'll let you read it out loud too.
Will you ever love Matthew Stafford as much as you love Jared Goff? Matthew Stafford takes us to an NFC Championship game, then yeah, I mean, sure.
And to a Super Bowl, just the NFC Championship, you love him as much as Goff?
No, I mean, you got to win the NFC Championship.
Gotcha.
I mean, I just think that's the bar, and I think that's deserving of the bar, because people can be like, oh, well, it's completely different teams, and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, hey, one of these guys did that. He took us there. They didn't have Cup. They barely had Gurley. I
mean, that's how my measurables are for players. I mean, it's listen, I love guys. I go to Beckham Jr. just for their talent and their celebrations, all that good stuff. But I mean, when you boil it down, how far does a player take you is really kind of how you amount your love for them, right? But right. I mean, Matthew Stafford had his best game as a Ram. 23 of 30, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. I watched him check down numerous times when the big play wasn't there. I watched him throw no-look passes, bomb to Van Jefferson. I know you love the no-look passes. That bomb to Van Jefferson had more air yards on it than any throw I've ever seen. Threading the needle to Cooper Kupp. Like, I know when you take a sack, quarterback takes a sack, it's always like, oh, God, he held on to the ball for too long.
Oh, my God, I was so happy he took that sack.
In the instances in this game, it was the right sacks to take. And I think last night was the reason why you trade for a player like Matthew Stafford. And I think that you saw Mick Stafford, the combination of McVay and Stafford, for those who don't know, come to life in the first 8 weeks. But I legitimately don't know if you know how excited you could be about what's to come for the back half of this season, just based on what I've seen from Matthew Stafford over the past couple of weeks, how they've complimented him in the run game, play action, all of the above. He's everything that you could have ever wanted from a Rams quarterback last night and a little bit more. So there's that. Sony Michel. Sony Michel continues to carry the load, yards after contact. I mean, that 3rd and 1 play, probably the most impressive play from a Rams back I've seen since Gurley and Henderson were around. He was stopped behind the line of scrimmage. He still found a way to convert. It's exactly why you love players like that.
I was going to say
guys know how to win.
It's like the 2nd and 19. That was my favorite run, because you take that from like 2nd and 19, you run the ball and it becomes like 3rd and manageable, and it's like 3rd and like 4, 3rd and 7 maybe. Yep. And it's like, oh, okay, like there's like a legitimate opportunity here for the offense to like continue on this drive, and he just continuously putting the team on his back. And look, I thought Matthew Stafford had a great game. I would say the MVP, the offense, was honestly Sony Michel. Even though he didn't score a touchdown, everything kind of relied on his shoulders, and we haven't really seen that from a running back in quite some time. So
yeah,
I was I guess last year Akers was able to do some glory, yeah. But still, to see it this year under Matthew Stafford was great, because
correct me if I'm wrong though. I remember there were times where Akers was banged up last year. I mean, Akers missed a couple of games. You had to come out for a couple of series. I mean, this guy's insanely reliable, and like that's kind of what the coaching staff is looking for after a Cam Akers injury, right? You don't have to add a veteran back. You don't have to keep adding players or hoping somebody from the practice squad is going to come in and make an impact. 26-year-old Sony Michel has a Super Bowl ring, perfectly capable. So good stuff there. Big win. Statistics and records. In pass protection, I'm not sure there's anybody better than Andrew Whitworth. By the numbers, he's as good as it gets. He's a Hall of Famer. Started at the age of 40 at left tackle. I mean, is that a guy that you would want to win games by 30 points for just by looking at him? I mean, he's a mountain of a man. He's exactly what you want. So, I mean, there's him. There's the impact he's had on Joe Noteboom, the rest of the offensive line. I mean, he is a gift from the football gods.
Hey, he's 40.
Yeah, he's 40.
40 years old.
This is 40.
Yeah.
They should.
I can't believe that.
And a more interesting movie would have been This is 40 starring Andrew Whitworth than the Kurt Warner movie. But that's my opinion.
Are you going to go see that?
Yeah, sure.
I have plans right now to tentatively see it on Christmas Day.
Well, so the Rams, once they beat the Seahawks, they'll be coming off of a 3-game winning streak, and then they will be playing the Vikings the day after. So,
Do you think they beat the Seahawks?
yeah, and then we're going to be hungry for football.
I am going to be so nervous about
And
that.
then once they beat the Vikings, we'll be traveling up for the game to go see Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's
Did
where
you
it's
get
gonna
those tickets yet?
spicy. No, didn't get them yet, but I will.
I may get them as your gift. So
Don't worry about that.
as
Don't
your
worry about
Christmas
the
gift. That'll be fun though. Should we stay over in Baltimore?
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah.
Or we could just head back after the game. I think it's a 4:30 game.
Oh, 4-hour drive after?
No, it's a 2-hour drive.
Oh, is it only 2 hours from us at home?
Hour 51 minutes from my house.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
It's a no-brainer.
Oh.
We'll take Dad with us too. We'll make it a full Vespi Brothers Day.
Do you think he would come?
Yeah, he'll come, of course.
Probably.
We just have to buy his ticket.
I know he likes to
Bastard.
I know he likes to watch the games at home. I don't know if he'd come to that game.
He'll come.
Maybe.
He'll come. I don't know. For Christmas,
Here's a question. Here's a proposed
okay.
question for you.
Let's hear it.
Would you rather the Rams? I mean, I think it's an obvious answer, but I'll run it by you. Lose to Seattle and the Vikings, but have this win, or lose horribly in primetime against the Cardinals, but win the next two?
Well, I think you need the game against Arizona, right, for tiebreaker purposes. But if you lose the next two, it doesn't matter anyway, right? So I don't know. I don't want to imagine either of those situations.
I'm just thinking, like, I know the world is like falling in love with the Rams right now because they got a late primetime victory, but these next games are just as important. And Seattle will never backs down from a fight. So, like, they were like, and with all the COVID stuff going on, I'm incredibly nervous for that game.
Well, 6.5 point spread. We'll Rams are favorites.
There's no way they cover that.
Well, they're not great against the spread, but I still think they'll win the game. And we'll talk about it later this week. But I mean, they got no Jamal Adams. I mean, Cooper Kupp, he's got 113 receptions in 13 games. I mean, he's on pace for one short of the record. So, I mean, how do you cover Cooper Kupp if you align him in every single possible position? I'm telling you, that was the most genius game plan with Tyler Higbee out. And he's going to be, if he continues on this trajectory, he's going to be short of Calvin Johnson by like 17 yards with this total yardage amount he's been racking up. So, I mean, how do you cover him? How do you stop Aaron Donald? Russell Wilson's biggest kryptonite's Aaron Donald. The guy had 15 pressures last night. I mean,
Aaron Donald
on the
is the greatest player in football right now, I think. And defensively, for sure.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady, but still. It's just, like, as great as this win is and as amazing as everybody looked, and Matthew Stafford, this is like, that's the reason why you go trade for him. I just don't know if they can take down this, like, a Green Bay team again or Brady right now. I mean, I actually have more faith in them beating the Bucs than Green Bay.
See, I have more faith in the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, in the playoffs? Yeah, Green Bay's lost in the playoffs a ton.
Yeah, I know, but, like, think about just Stafford versus Rodgers. It's like that matchup for whatever
1 week
reason,
at a time.
It like plagues him.
1 week at a time. We'll get there. We'll worry about it when we get there. In the meantime, you got guys like Greg Gaines, David Long Jr., Darius Williams, right? These are all guys that are stepping up in a huge way.
It's kind of like, as much as I want to talk about how our future is, like, ruined, like, every time I break, like, I'm upset about Stafford. Like, it's not just his play now, but it's his play, or, like, it's what it means for the franchise the next couple of years. There is a lot of young, like, youth on this team that will just continue to excel under this coaching regime. And it's just great. And Greg Gaines is kind of like one of the standouts from that. I mean, he is just, I cannot believe that man is that fast.
Dude, I'm telling you, for as much praise as Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch get in San Francisco for doing everything that they can do, Like they can't overcome injuries. They have not been able to overcome injuries over the past couple of years.
I just can't believe you're going to run with Garoppolo when you go out and you draft this. I guess when you're,
they'll make an upgrade. Yeah, they're not going to go 500 this year and not make an upgrade over Garoppolo. But I mean, like Ernest Jones is another example of a guy like that has just been stepping up. They called him the Kyler Murray of the Rams' defense. Like that's insane. That's insane. I mean, he's totally stolen the snap counts from Troy Reader. He had 7 tackles. He was tracking down Kyler Murray. He had the big interception. His GPS is always on. Like that's a guy that I feel like I could trust. And it's next man up. And you compare him to a team like San Francisco, who seems better prepared when they come up play head to head. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, under the regime of Sean McVay and Les Snead, I'm confident in their ability to evaluate talent and draft late and kind of bring in the next man up to evolve the franchise.
And they've been doing a great job with that. I just love I love these like scrappy younger dudes that they get later in rounds that just make impacts immediately. It's like, I mean, also you have to credit like the Aaron Donalds and the Jalen Ramseys.
Sure.
I mean, you're working with one of the greatest to ever do it. So
yeah. I don't know. I think they're in a spot right now where you have some of the greatest to ever do it. OBJ, Von Miller, like they both showed a ton of veteranism. Is that a word? Veteranism last night? Like OBJ,
maybe not.
Remember the play OBJ ran out of bounds backwards?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Running in the second half.
Did you know that was a thing?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. That was a great call.
99.9% of fans forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, the only.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only thing that scares me about this team making like an actual playoff run is QB1. But he, I mean, credit where credit is due. Amazing game out of him last night and the week. 8 quarters in a row, the dude's been just lighting it up. So it's definitely a path to success. I just don't want to see the other side of him.
No, I know.
He's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde,
Yeah.
He's got a little Jekyll and Hyde in him.
I think if you continue to do what they're doing, you're not going to see the Hyde. You're going to see the Jekyll.
I just want to see a time where we see the Hyde and then Jekyll comes back in the game. Because now it's just like we get Hyde early and it's Hyde for the rest of the dang day.
I mean, they were close to being in that position. I'm telling you, that game could have been 10-0.
It felt like it was going to be 10-0.
It felt like it was going to be 10-0.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that long pass and that interception, the game was over. Felt like still plenty of game left, but momentum shift was there. I got faith. I got faith in OBJ. I got faith in Von Miller. I got faith in our guys. Sound like Sean McVay, but I'm confident, dude.
I don't have faith in Johnny Hecker.
Tons of faith in the gay one, Matt Gay. No faith in Johnny Hecker. None.
No,
it's killing me by the stats. I mean, his stats are terrible. He's at the very bottom of the list. Upgrade.
Yeah, this is definitely Hecker's last year.
We always end it with special teams. How about this? How about Brandon Powell? Seems like whenever he wants to touch the ball, he wants to take off. So special teams, as much as we want to end you on a bad note, Brandon Powell takes us right back up.
Special teams has just always been like wacky, especially back in the day, like the Fisher days where like once every third game there'd be a special teams miracle play.
Oh yeah,
to keep them in it. So I'd like
they're due. I'm like as much as I compliment them right now, like they're due for another bad mistake.
All they had to do was fall on the ball and end that game, and they couldn't even do that.
Yeah, what happened? Skronik's got the longest arms I've ever seen. He couldn't just reach out and latch onto the ball and fall on it.
I hated that. I was like, why do they even have an opportunity?
You knew it was going to happen. And it was really funny because Louis Riddick was sitting there and he was like, what was it? Is it the movie? Was it Little Giants where he's like pointing out the or no, it's oh, come on. Is it The Water Boy? When he's like pointing out the defenders one by one. But that's what it felt like because they were all rookies lined up. And you knew that they were going to try to pick the one guy that looked nervous as shit and kick it right to him.
And they did it perfectly.
What movie is that from? Oh, Somebody tweeted at me for
The longest
listening.
yard?
Maybe it's the longest yard. Maybe.
We said we started this episode. We were both tired as hell. Like, all right, quick 30-minute episode. Let's get it out of the way. It's now reaching into an hour, which is just typical.
That's too good.
Final takeaways, Dean. Final thoughts on this team. Where do you see them going into the postseason? Let's do a little schedule prediction.
I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go into postseason yet. I want to take
no. Right before the postseason.
Right before where do I see them right before the postseason?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's go game by game.
All right. I'll pull up the schedule. So we have Seattle.
Yep.
I think I know it off the top of my head.
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game
Baltimore.
will be hairy. Game's hairy. It's in Minnesota. No, they're not going to lose to Minnesota. They'll beat Minnesota. I think they lose to Baltimore, and then they beat. Who do they play week 16?
San Francisco.
No, they play San Francisco 17, I think, or the week after that.
No. So
no, you're right. You're right.
So it's Seattle, Vikings,
and then I think they beat San Francisco. So 3-1 this season. I
don't know how the Seattle game is going to go. I'm terrified. I think they beat the Vikings and the Ravens, and then they lose against San Francisco.
I feel like schedule prediction. I think we're both wrong. It hasn't happened yet, but we're both wrong.
I'm worried about this Seattle game.
Yeah, don't be. Have faith. Have faith. All right, everybody. Go Rams.
Go Rams.
We're back. I'm happy to be back.
Great win.
It was a great win. I feel good being back. We're back on the podcast. I don't know if you hate me anymore, but maybe a little bit still.
No,
we're good.
Don't.
We're good. We're good.
Do you hate me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kidding me? Come on. This is too much fun. It's 1:30 a.m. my time, and I'm still awake enjoying this. So, all right, guys. Chime in. Get us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Watch our shit. Subscribe. Like it so that we can keep doing it. All right?
Yeah, please continue to do all that great stuff. We love you guys. Appreciate all that you do, all the love and support, and it's great. It's fun doing this because we got a great crew of you guys, and hopefully one day we can all celebrate together, the big dance.
You're going to be on the top of the parade. I know that.
I would be
you and Stafford shotgunning beers together. I could see it.
I'd be rocking a number 9 jersey with the Super Bowl patch right here.
I'll tell you what, Stafford will teach you something about chugging a beer.
Yeah, I had to shotgun one last night on the live show.
Damn Ryan, he's tough.
Yeah,
you got to watch out for him.
All right, before I yawn one more time, let's end it.
Peace
and love, Ramley.
Go Rams.